Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Holistic Cat Care Live Q&A with me, Pam, with Perfectly Holistic. I am excited to visit with you guys tonight and to support you amazing cat parents who want to learn how to use a more holistic approach for whatever is troubling your cat, whether this is physical, emotional, spiritual, whatever. So I just wanted to say hi to some people over here on Instagram as you guys are coming in. I am going to be taking questions on Instagram tonight. I can see them. And then I'm also taking questions over here on our YouTube platform as well as our Facebook page. So, first of all, just welcome if this is your first time joining. It's nice to have you here. And if you have questions about your cats, think about what you want to ask and drop them in the comments because we're going to cover those for probably about 45 minutes or so. Let me know where you guys are watching from. And I love to say hi to people too. So if you guys are returning and have been here before, welcome back. So appreciate you guys joining me tonight. I wanted to say a special hello to Deb 1066 over here on Instagram. Thank you for joining us. I've got cats in the office, and we'll see if anybody makes an appearance. They're hanging around here because it's about to storm outside. So hopefully it won't interrupt my internet feed. We just never know. This is live broad or streaming. You never know what's going to happen when there's rain. So anyway, yeah, tell me where you guys are from, where you're watching from, and what is going on in your world. Let's start with that. We've got a brand new service that's being launched. And if you are on the mailing list, you will see it tomorrow. But I'll tell you real quickly, it is called Holistic Wellness Approach. It is really, really cool. It basically takes whatever you are dealing with, if you have a health issue or nutritional issue or just whatever is going on in your world that you have that you're dealing with. And we take a holistic approach to balancing the body energetically using diet, lifestyle, and supplementation. So we go through all the major key elements of the body, like vitamins and minerals, cell membrane, the neuroendocrine system, the digestion, and we also cover intestinal drainage and whether or not you need to bind toxins, if you need to address pathogen removal and things like that. So it is really, really cool to take a look energetically and find resonance. And we can start with the supplements that you are taking and see if any of those can fill the gaps, and then find other things that might, resonate a little bit better, or things that can plug in to fill those gaps. And it's very easy to follow. The plan is put together in a way that is going to help you be compliant and actually hit your goals. So, yes, you're probably wondering, is this for people? Yes, it is, but it's also for your pets. So again, we look at things through the lens of energy. It's not diagnostic. It's not meant to prevent or prescribe or treat and cure and things like that. It simply looks at through the lens of energy, which is really, really cool. And I learned this, got this whole certification from a naturopath who put this together, who's been doing this probably for over 20 years now, who's well respected in the holistic health industry. And so anyway, I'm honored to be a part of that program. So yes, I want to say hi to Evelyn. Hi from Michigan, Port Sanilac, Michigan. And Evelyn, I'm excited to visit with you on Monday about your kitty. And Sup Yoga Christy says, remind me how to book a muscle testing teaching session. I actually don't do one-on-one sessions for muscle test for teaching, but I have a workshop on my website that is on demand. And it was just basically a recording of a class that takes you through, I think it's about an hour and a half or so. And you can learn how the basics of muscle testing work, and you can actually start practicing it. So if you go to shop.purrrfectlyholistic.com, make sure you put 3 R's in that. then you can find workshops at the top of the toolbar on top, and it's under the workshop options. So yeah, it's really cool. I mean, guys, learn how to muscle test. It changes everything. It just helps you streamline what you're using, what you're eating, supplements that you're taking, all of that good stuff. And yes, you can learn how to do it for your pets and for you, your family. It works the same. It's all about energy. And you will just feel more empowered to make better decisions and to make informed decisions about things that you want to have done, whether it's diagnostics, if you're working on a specific problem with your vet or your doctor, whatever it is, you'll learn how to find what works and what resonates with your body and what doesn't. So it can save you a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of just um, throwing spaghetti at the wall to find out what sticks. Because sometimes we do things thinking it's helping and it's not really giving us the benefit that we think it's giving us. Um, and it can also just save you a lot of frustration. So you're not spinning your wheels. You know what I'm saying? Christy says, "What do you know about nattokinase?" Nattokinase, it is is it Japanese seaweed supplement? I think. Don't quote me on that. I think it is, and it helps with. It has to do with blood. Is it for blood thinning? I can find out. I forget. I want to say natural blood thinner, but let me just look. Let me just look it up. Okay, nice. It is an enzyme derived from natto, which is a traditional Japanese fermented soybean food. Okay, so not seaweed, but soybean food. It offers benefits for cardiovascular health. It can help dissolve blood clots. Okay, I did get that right. Improve blood flow and helps lower blood pressure. So I hope that answers your question. So it helps dissolve blood clots. That's what it's mainly known for. Um, so yeah, does that answer your question? Um, B Green says, "How safe is raw chicken now?" Well, I guess that just depends on where you're buying your chicken. I personally haven't had any issues with raw chicken, and I buy mine from farmers, local farmers. But if you are, I guess you're asking, is it for your cat? Um, as far as I know, things are fine. I haven't had any, what's the word, negative reports about problems with tainted food for raw food for cats. Um, so a lot of the hype that you heard, like bird flu and stuff like that a few months ago, was a lot of hype, and it was a lot of what's the word? Sorry, my brain's not working tonight. Misinformation from FDA that was blaming a raw food pet food for the death of a cat when in reality it was not. And they came back and they reshared that their testing was wrong. um, so yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard any problems with raw chicken for cat food or anything like that in a while. If you can always go to the FDA website and check and see if there's any recalls for pet food. And I will tell you, most of the time, and I mean it really, most of the time, it's dry pet food that gets recalled. In some cases, there are other types of foods that get recalled, but by far and large, it is mostly dry food products. Um, she says a couple of cats have died here in Oregon from bird flu. That's what I was referring to. The FDA tested the food improperly, and they found that it did not have bird flu, but the cats had outdoor access and probably got it from something that they ate outside. So yeah, go back and check the information again, because they have updated since they blamed Northwest Naturals incorrectly for that whole problem when their food was just fine. So yeah. Um, one of the things you have to think about is bird flu has been around for decades. It's not anything new. And things kind of go through nature in cycles. And I listened to a really good interview, and we talked about this, I want to say last month or the month before. If you go back and listen to the recordings from our previous shows, which I did mention an interview that Dr. Connor O'Brady uh, talked, or not an interview. It was a very long article that he wrote on his website, and it was really really good, like putting everything in perspective. So go back and listen to either last month or the month before when I talked about that, and I did drop, I believe, the link to that article in the comments. I just don't have it in front of me now. Vicky, hello, Vicky. She says, I get my chicken for my fur babies from Kroger's, Simply Truth Organic. Good. Yeah. Here's the thing. Um, and just not to try to scare anybody or anything like that, because there are so many wonderful, safe ways you can make your own pet food. Just know that in commercial raw food products, there is a zero tolerance for pathogens when it comes to that product going to the market. So the difference is in grocery store foods, raw meats and things like that. The USDA, FDA, whoever inspect, I think it's USDA, they do allow up to 20% pathogen exposure in the raw meats because they assume that we are going to cook it first. So, and the heating process destroys pathogenic materials. So if you're using grocery store products, just know that there's a potential that it could have a certain small amount of pathogenic material. But even then, you really don't have to get worried about that too much, because cats' digestive tracts are very short, highly acidic. So they can destroy a lot of that just through their own digestive process. And cats' um, gut, back, their digestive tract, it does have things like salmonella and E. coli in it, just like ours. We have that in our body. They have a certain degree in their body, but when the body is healthy, the body keeps all of that in balance and in check. So just something to think about, not to worry about or anything like that, but just to be aware. So yeah. Um, what else? I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. So B Green says, okay, good to know. Thank you. You're very welcome. Okay, so, and I just saw a weather warning pop up on the screen. So hopefully we are good to go and won't have a hailstorm tonight. Vicky says, I do bring it home and divide it up, freeze it, and cook it before I feed it. Yeah, so you're perfectly fine. No problem there. So yeah, cats do fine, unless they are super ill. Um, if they have an, some kind of immunocompromised situation, or very sick, then you probably don't want to feed them raw food anyway. They probably don't have an interest in raw food if they're not feeling well, number one. But you can always gently cook things or explore, wonderful commercial brands that do all the processing and recipes for you, and you don't even have to think about it. So that's always great too. So what else we got? What are you guys struggling with your cats these days? I mean, I love having you here, but let's see what else we can answer for you. Do you guys have any questions about any particular topic? Anything environmental? Are they having, are your cats getting along? Are they acting funky or afraid or anything like that? Anything changing in their environment that's causing you stress or troubles? There's all sorts of things we can talk about today. So I'll be here as long as you have questions, at least for like a good 45 minutes, or we'll just call it an early night. It's up to you, whatever you want to do. So let me see if there was anything else I wanted to share with you guys. I didn't finish the holistic wellness approach thing. If you want to learn a little bit more about that, you can go to our website, shop.perfectlyholistic.com and look under services, and you'll find all the options for that particular service. And I do have options to combine it with mind, body, spirit release. So if you want a full, comprehensive energy healing work with holistic wellness approach, we have options for that. So, and there are pet, you can, again, you can do this for pet and for people. So it's a great way to, if you've ever wanted to work with like a naturopath or holistic practitioner for your own wellness, it's a great entry into doing something like that, which is very holistic in looking at natural supplementation and look at lifestyle things that you can use or add into your routines to help provide benefits. So, and then nutrition, nutrition is always the foundation of health, whether you are a fur baby or a person. So we have to look at what we're putting into our bodies as well. I want to say hello over here to Fluff Rats. What a cute name, Fluff Rats. I guess it's kitties. Um, or maybe rats. I don't know. I love it so much, though. That's a cute name. Okay, let me think. What else is going on? Yeah, let's see. Tuesday night, I did a live with Michael Habich and Jenny Dean Floppy Cats. Michael's with Healthy Herbal Paws or Herbal Paws Healthy. Yeah, I think it's, oh God, Herbal Paws. Anyway, it was on the Pets Journey podcast. And we're meeting every Tuesday night for like an hour and a half, 8 p.m. Central. And we did a show on Tuesday. We talked about anxiety in cats and how things we can do to mitigate that naturally, more holistic approach, finding the sources of the anxiety and things like that, products to use, methods, etc. We also dove into cleansing and parasites, doing parasite cleanses like for people. So we talked a little bit about our own detoxification and cleanses and things like that, which is really fun because we haven't done a whole lot of that. Fluff Rat says, I have cats and pet rats. Oh, that's fun. Oh, do they get along is what I want to know. They probably do, right? They're probably buddies. B Green says, my cat plays hard and then suddenly stops and licks himself furiously. Very little hair left on lower stomach and back legs. Don't know what's causing it. Well, there could be a lot of different things causing that kind of hair loss and over grooming. Sometimes it's anxiety. Sometimes it can be just the fact that he's stopping and he starts licking himself tells me, like, it's a clue to me that there might be something causing a lot of histamine release. And histamine, when it's really ramped up in the body, um, it can be very uncomfortable and probably like make him itch and things like that. So that's probably why he's over grooming so much. So some of the things that can be contributing to that would be parasites in the gut. It can be food intolerances or food sensitivities. So you got to look at what he's eating. It can be toxins in the body that are just ramping up the immune system. And when the cat is playing a lot, you got to remember that you are just movement pushes circulation and lymphatics around. And so if, it could be just recirculating a lot of toxins that are causing him to itch because of histamine release. So you could look at all the potential causes that may be contributing to that and rule things out or rule things in. We can also deep dive if you ever want to hop on a free 20-minute call. I offer those consultations for free, 20 minutes, and we sit and chat about whatever it is you're dealing with, and we can kind of drill down a little bit deeper and specifically, since it's kind of hard since you're not sitting in front of me and I can't ask questions and you can answer right back quickly. But I hope that gives you something to at least start thinking about. So food, maybe intestinal parasites, maybe toxins of some kind, and that could be environmental from the home. It could be from allergens if it's outside. like, the grasses and the weed pollens and the tree pollens that are all blooming right now that are going crazy. It can be over vaccination. It can be, just something that's setting the immune system off and out of balance. That's what I tend to see a lot. Unless again, it's emotional, and emotional blocks do contribute to over grooming and things like that. So look at if there are other pets in the home that are making your cat feel unsafe. Um, Look at when it's happening and like who's around, look at the circumstances and see if you can start to connect some dots. That's always kind of fun. Um, when it comes to figuring things like this out, you have to just become a detective, and you have to put all your bias aside and you have to look at it with like a new set of eyes with all possibilities on the table. And then you just start to eliminate things. Um, there's also some cool diagnostic tests if you actually want to go through testing. Things like a hair tissue mineral analysis test. You can determine if there's heavy metals or nutritional deficiencies like mineral imbalances and things like that. Um, there's also bioresonance techniques, testing kits that do hair and saliva that you can send in. And then holistic wellness. Holistic wellness is kind of on that same type of scale. It's all energetic. It looks at what's resonating, and we go through the body to figure out where the imbalances are from an energetic perspective. So that could be something else that we could explore to help you find out what is contributing and how to address it. So, yeah, I hope that gives you some ideas. Okay, what else have we got today? Um, Does weather bother any of you guys' cats? I have one that's hiding. I don't even know where she is, but anytime it's thundering, she's disappeared. I cannot figure out why she's so scared of thunder when she never used to be until we moved here. Bless her heart. I can't figure it out. All I know is it's just emotional blocks. And so a lot of energy work goes into her to help her feel safe. So yeah, and then my other three are not even phased. So I don't know. I don't know. They're all wired so different, aren't they? So yes. Okay, let's see what else we've got. Oh, you have a lily? She hides in bad weather. I used to have a lily. She's no longer with me, but she was precious. Um, that lily didn't hide in bad weather either. So, yeah, isn't it interesting? So, yeah, I don't know what it is about the sound of rain and the thunder with this particular girl, but it makes me sad because she's so confident in other ways, you know? It's like, why do you have to be such a weenie? You're not even getting wet, you know? So anyway, fun. Okay, let me say hi over here to Sims and Dash. Hello. How are you guys over here? Hey, Instagram people, do you have any questions tonight? Let me know what you want to cover. If you're struggling with anything or if you just have general questions to help your cat, let me know. Food, diet, nutrition, supplements, behavior. Yeah, let me know what your thoughts are if you have anything you want to cover. So that's why we're here. Trying to think what else is going to go on in the next week. Oh, here's a really cool show. Next Thursday, it's going to be in the afternoon with Dr. Odette Suter. There is a condition called Plechner's syndrome in cats. It's not very common, but it's often misdiagnosed. So if your cat struggles with immune and digestive issues that are chronic, then you definitely want to tune into the show and learn about Plechner's syndrome. So it's next Thursday. I believe it's at 2 o'clock Central, and it will be recorded, so you can go back and watch it later. Vicky, which one of my fur babies is afraid? That would be Aylin. Yeah, she went from this confident play monster to scaredy cat living. Something about being here. I don't know why. Um, okay, so Deb 1066 says, I recently tried adding omega-3 to my cat's food and they will not eat it. Anything else that would benefit them? That's a great question. A lot of cats don't like the taste of supplements with fish oils and stuff like that. So um, now the beautiful thing is you can try using actual food instead of a supplement. And one of the first things that comes to mind would be sardines and water. So when you go to the grocery store, those little tins of sardines, make sure you get the one with just water and don't drain the water out because this is what's really cool. When you open the container, just you can store like whatever you're not feeding in a little, glass container or something and pour the water in it and then maybe add a little bit more so you have a lot of juice and pour the juice on some of their food. But sardines are loaded with nutrition. They're loaded with omega-3s. They're great antioxidants and they're so good for them. And most cats like sardines. You can also try herring because those are small fish too, maybe some mackerel. So they each have a different nutritional profile, but they're all great sources of omega-3s, but especially sardines. So try the sardines, maybe, I don't know, one or two a day, and just you could do that a little, every day. And it's great to be able to offer a food source instead of a supplement. So why don't you try that and let us know next month how that's working. Now, here's the other cool thing. In most cases, I am able to do energy work to clear a block to something like a fish oil or a supplement that they don't like. And we can't override their free will to try something or like something. But if it's just an emotional block to something new, which, cats are a little bit neophobic, they don't like new things, they like their routines. They like things that are predictable and things they know. So if we introduce something new to them, they can be a little standoffish and not want to try it. Um, or maybe they just don't like the taste of something. So energy work can clear those blocks in most cases so that they don't have that reaction to resist it and they're more open and receptive to eating them. So something to think about. Um, let's see what else. She says, I will definitely try that. Thank you. You're welcome. Yeah, my cats love sardines. They haven't been crazy about like salmon oils and krill oils and things like that, but the sardines they will eat. So I'm happy to have options for them. Definitely. Okay, let's come back over to Facebook and YouTube. Let's see. Anybody else have any questions over here? Fluff Rat says, my Ada is really struggling with IBD. Okay. I love this kind of a question because remember, IBD can have a lot of different root causes. The key is figuring out the root cause. I did a radio show. Gosh, I want to say it was 2 years ago. It's on the YouTube channel now, and it's called IBD in Cats. And there's also an article on my blog site, purrrfectlyholistic.com. If you want to go back and actually read the article, it's kind of a recap of the video, but it outlines all of the root causes of IBD. So you can start to do the elimination thing, like, oh, it's not that because that doesn't count, or my cat doesn't have this or hasn't been exposed to that. A lot of times it is diet. It can be from other things like toxins, steroids, vaccines. In some cases, it can be emotional. That can be a component, a contributing component. It can stem a lot of times from pancreas insufficiency. So in the video, in the article, I listed out some of the diagnostic tests that you can ask for to help determine, if there's problems absorbing nutrients in the gut lining, and if there's detoxification that needs to be done, if it's just simply a change of diet. So one of the first things that I would recommend is change the proteins. It's a simple fix. If that's the case, you should notice a difference right away. It's like within days of just switching proteins and getting have time for the old protein to process out of the body and get her on something different. So that would be my first suggestion. And then using things like make sure you're using a digestive enzyme with your food. Um, in some cases, probiotics can be super beneficial, and um, something to soothe the gut lining. So maybe some slippery elm or marshmallow root. There's a product that I like by Thorn Vet called Gut Health Formula. And there's another product by Adore Beast called Feline Gut Soothe. You could look at doing those because those products are super nourishing for the gut and help reduce inflammation. Um, if the cat has leaky gut issues, look at adding something like Ion Gut Support for pets. It is a humic acid product that seals the tight junctions in the gut lining. Um, so you might have to do a multi-prong approach in most cases, but if you can figure out the root cause and then you provide supportive supplements and diet to help rebuild and restore balance, reduce inflammation, that's going to be your best bet long term. But just understand that it's going to take a while for the body to rebalance and for that gut to heal, but it can heal. Um, so does that give you some ideas? I would go back and watch the video if you can, or read the article because it's going to lay out a lot more information. But it should give you a head start because there's always a reason. And um, when you learn to broaden your view and look at all the potential causes, from a holistic perspective, you might have one of those aha moments. Does that make sense? You're like, oh my gosh, yes, she's been on this forever, or and when it comes to nutritional stuff, vets just aren't very helpful. They think that their veterinary prescription food is the end all be all to fix everything, and it's not. So um, look at what they're eating first and see if you can make some food changes that are completely different. So if they're eating chicken or if she's eating fish, if she's eating dry food, take her off dry. If she's eating wet food, but it's chicken based or fish based, take them off that and feed something totally different and see if you can get things to start calming down. She says it's exhausting. It absolutely is. And imagine if you were the cat going through it, how how bad you would feel all the time. Because if you think about it, if you're eating, let's say you have a food sensitivity or a food allergy or an intolerance to something, but that's the food that you're eating all the time. And every time you eat it, it makes you feel worse. And it gives you, gas, and it makes you have diarrhea, or, it just upsets your tummy and you feel nauseous. But your cat can't tell you that. So um, think of it like that. If you were the cat and you're having to eat the food that's making you feel so bad all the time, it is pretty exhausting and it's pretty crummy. So that's where I would suggest just try starting with the food and see if that will shift things. And then you can add other supportive things like the supplements that I mentioned to help rebalance and reduce inflammation and things like that. And of course, if you always wanted to do some holistic work with me, we can look at that as well, either through mind, body, spirit release or holistic wellness approach. Okay. Who's next? Who has another question? Anybody else? Going once. Rusty 5E joined. Hi, hello, and welcome. Okay, let me think what else is going on this month. Radio show. We have a really cool radio show in a couple weeks, about 3 weeks from now. Deanna is going to be back, and she's going to talk about the significance of disease and chronic illness. Like, what is the meaning behind it? Because disease and illness affects the body and certain organs, and And there's actually a spiritual significance when people develop an illness or chronic disease and things like that. So she's going to break it down for us, like what's the spiritual meaning behind those kinds of issues. It should be really fascinating. So I'm excited about that. So that will be later. I think it's the 19th of May. I cannot believe we're in May. Like, where did the spring go? Um, so yeah, and then Dr. Barry and I are coming back later this month. I think it's right after the radio show. It's that same week. Is it the 17th, 19th, something like that? And we're going to talk about heart coherence. So what it is, how to do it, quantum entanglement, how emotions, like how you can get yourself into coherence and how that's going to help and benefit your pets. But this is going to really be focused mostly on pet parents, because when we can fix us, it trickles down into the energy around us, which affects our pets. So yeah, it's going to be cool. So a lot of good stuff coming up this month for sure. Rusty5 says that's interesting on the podcast. Yeah, it's going to be cool. I haven't interviewed anybody about this topic before. So, and Deanna talks about this all the time with her clients and all the stuff that she's done and learned in her Reiki studies, and she's done so many other different things. So it's fascinating to see what, the issues that we struggle with, that whatever it is, what that significance is, what's the meaning behind it, and what we can learn from it, and how we can shift and help us get out of that, that chronic situation. Sometimes it might just be an emotional shift on our part. So it's going to be a cool conversation for sure. Okay. I am checking to see if there's any other comments. You guys have had some good ones today. Anybody else? Let's see. So if not, we will wrap things up. It's been fun. I hope you guys learned something, or at least something to think about, right? Kind of go home and just kind of let it simmer in your subconscious for a little bit, and see how you can apply what we're learning. Rusty 5E says, is there holistic stuff for UTIs? My cat has inflammatory. Yes, absolutely there is. The key is figuring out what's causing the UTIs. So is it behavioral? Like, is there stress in the environment? Something like, a lot of times chronic UTIs and stuff are due to diet or emotional stuff. So emotional stuff can be like fear. So if the cat is in constant fight or flight, sympathetic nervous system mode, maybe it's the environment, it's too stressful, there's a lot of noise, there's other pets that are bullying or whatever. Those can be things to look at in terms of causes for why the cat is so, gets these problems all the time. And then wet food is preferable in all cases to dry food. So dry food contributes to a pH balance change in the bladder, and that can contribute to issues. Now, here's another thing that happens sometimes. If a cat is like an older cat or sick cats, they're not grooming themselves as well. And so in most cases, from what I have learned, it's the E. coli bacteria that gets into their little, sex organs that causes the UTI issues. So if they're not grooming themselves down there after they do their business very well, then some of that bacteria can kind of move and migrate over into other areas of their body and cause problems. So that's also something to think about. She says, I'm using Farmina urinary dry food along with wet. And I think it's the grooming. She thinks it might be like lack of grooming, because dry food, even though it's urinary, again, I'm just not a big fan at all on dry food, because it leaves the cats in a constant state of dehydration. Even though you're feeding the wet food, If you can identify like the causes, the emotional causes, if that's the thing, or if it's just they need some more better sanitation, if you can help with that and then take them off the urinary food, that would be ideal because again, dry food is just not going to cut it. Um, Urinary diets, they try to, put things in like cranberry or whatever. Um, there's a product called D-mannose, capital D-MANNOSC, that is a cranberry derivative that helps. This is a really good product for you guys to know about. It you could just put it in the food. It kind of tastes like a little bit of crema tartar. It's not bad at all, and it just dissolves into the food so fast. But you can take this for you too. So if you ever get UTIs, you can try this. But like maybe a quarter to a half a teaspoon once or twice a day, at least probably twice a day for a cat, for example. For us, probably 3 times a day. But what happens is it goes through the through the body and it's filtered through the urethra, through the bladder, and all of that. It prevents the bacteria from sticking to the urethra lining, to the walls. And so, therefore, the bacteria can't form and it flushes all that stuff right out. So, that's why it works so great and fast, both for cats and for people. So, get some D-mannose on hand if you think if it is bacterial issues. So, yeah, she says it's so hard to get them off the dry food. You know, part of the thing is I don't know if you leave your food out like an all-day buffet, but take up the all-day buffet if that's where you're starting from. And put them on a meal schedule so that hunger is your friend. So when you're ready to feed them and you offer them the wet food, that's their meal. Maybe you do it, 3 small meals a day or 2 slightly larger meals a day and put them on a schedule. And if you have to in the beginning, crumble some of that dry food on top, like a topper, so they're enticed to eat the wet food. But what I tell people all the time is you have to stick to your guns because they will try to wear you down. And, nobody likes it when our cats are upset with us and they're crying and they're staring at their food bowl like, but it's empty. And where'd you put my all day buffet? So just pack your patience and stick to your guns, stick to your plan, because after a couple weeks they get it. We just have to we have to help them shift. And cats don't like change, so we have to be patient. But put them on the meal schedule, take up the all day buffet, feed them the wet food. If they already like the wet food, that's awesome. And you can entice them with something like freeze dried treats, single ingredient freeze dried treats if they just want something dry or whatever, or like freeze dried food recipes just as a treat, not as a meal, unless you want to rehydrate it, of course. But that's how you get them off the dry. You just have to cut the cord, right? At some point, and you go, no more. Thank goodness yours is eating wet food already, because that's half the battle for a lot of people whose cats only eat dry food. But you're kind of ahead of the curve if they like the wet food already. So you're lucky. And again, energy work also helps with that. It's a block for some cats. So yeah, let me know how that goes for sure. Okay. That was a great question. Anybody else have any questions before we wrap up? David Bowie 6249. Hello. How are you? Thank you for joining. David, do you have any questions tonight? And Betsy is here. Hi. It's nice to see you. I want to see, how is your baby lady doing? She's so precious. Okay, let's see. Let's see if I missed anybody's comments. Let me see. Anybody over here? Instagram, you guys okay? All right. So this will be recorded, or it's being recorded. So if you missed the show, you can always go back later and rewatch it. And I will be dropping it into our feed for Instagram once we get off. So if you miss it live, don't worry. You can go back and catch the rest of the show. Betsy says, hi, lady, as well. That makes me so happy to hear that. Awesome. Okay. Well, guys, this has been fun. If you have, again, if you have any questions or you want to just jump on a free 20-minute call